Hey everybody, Icy Cat here. Today the developers gave us some new and exciting information regarding the upcoming nerfs and buffs that we're going to be seeing in the game. We went over a little bit of these changes that we got a glimpse of in the test server last week, but now they've given us a full reveal of what all those changes are going to be. Additionally, I'll also go over all the information revealed during the developer AMA where they talked about why they made the changes they did, as well as telling us which other operators are looking at buffing and nerfing in the future. The Year 3 Season 2.2 Designer Notes dev blog gives us some insight into what's going on for the upcoming operator buffs and nerfs. I'm going to go over this list of information first, and then after that I'll go into the info that was revealed during the AMA with the development team. Not only do they explain what went into these changes, but they also tell us what operators they're really looking at reworking in the future beyond this next series of buffs and nerfs. So they begin by showing us the most recent attacker and defender win rates plotted on the graphs here. So they're trying to balance where everybody is based on how much they're picked or how much they win and if they're weak or they're strong within those various categories. They take a look at balancing that based on the information they receive with this raw data, as well as actually gathering input from both the online community, the pro players, internal testing, and high-ranked platinum and diamond stats. So what changes can we expect to see coming up? Well, the first one we're going to talk about here is Finca. So her ability is going to be reduced from a 20-second duration down to a 10-second duration overall. Her stun grenades are going to be replaced with frag grenades. Also, they're reducing the amount of damage that Smoke's gas canisters will do on her. They used to do 2 damage, now they will do 1.5. The ADS modifier she gets from the adrenaline rush will be reduced from a 50% reduction to a 25% reduction. And they explain this by saying they're trying to achieve a couple of things. They want her to be more popular, but they also want to make her weaker. They do acknowledge that this sounds counterintuitive, and they think that part of where that power comes from is that she has that hit point boost. They also say that the reason they're giving her frag grenades is to make her a bit more appealing of a choice in terms of her utility, while not making her significantly stronger. They go on to say that Finca is not used very often in Pro League, and one of the main reasons is because of Smoke's gas canisters doing twice as much damage. So they're reducing that damage modifier so that the counter will still work, but not as efficiently. The next operator getting changed is IQ. Her frag grenades are being replaced with claymores, as those are now going to Finca. Her electronic detection radius is reduced from 20 meters down to 15. They say that IQ is currently too good in terms of her fragging power. As a 3-speed operator with a very strong rifle, she's pretty effective when it comes to killing people. So they wanted to do something that would sort of address that. And they say that the more gadgets that came out that she could detect as the new operators were released gives her more and more use and utility over time, so they no longer felt the need for the frag grenades was there. However, that's pretty controversial because a lot of people feel like the frag grenades is one way for IQ to take care of the gadgets that she detects when she can't really get into them. Without grenades, there's other gadgets she can detect but can't take out. For instance, maestro cams, she can't shoot them unless they open up, but a frag grenade would allow her to take it out once she's detected it, and so it's controversial because she'll no longer be able to do that kind of thing. They also go on to say they have more drastic changes for IQ in the distant future, but wanted to make these changes in the short term to make room for other operator choices and increased variety in Pro League. Now, we knew that Blackbeard was getting some changes, but there's a little bit more specific info here. So the damage on his scar is changing from 42 going up to 49. However, the SR25 DMR is going from 72 down to 61. They're also reducing the hit points on his rifle shields from 60 on each shield down to 50 on each shield. That will still be a 2-shot to break in most cases though. He does, however, get a buff with a 30% reduction in movement speed penalty when the rifle shield is equipped. In other words, when he's got the shield on, he's going to move about 30% faster. They also say that they've noticed that the DMR is the favored weapon of choice, so they wanted to make it more of a difficult choice between that and the assault rifle. The next operator to receive a change is Glaz. His rifle is going from 85 down to 71, and they say that he is strong in every situation and too strong in Pro League. They wanted to reduce his damage to make him more situational. Twitch is also getting an adjustment to her weapon. Her FAMAS is going from 40 damage down to 37, a 3-point reduction overall, but they currently said that they're doing this to address the fact that she has a 60% pick rate, and while the damage on the weapon isn't one of the highest ones, it definitely has the highest damage per second because of its higher rate of fire. This should bring it more in parity with other weapons in its category. Jackal gets a buff by increasing the footstep scanning distance from 5 meters to 8 meters. They say he's currently got a low pick rate and he's a little weak, and they wanted to improve player comfort while using him. This choice allows the player to have a little bit of reduced risk while scanning for enemy footprints. Frost is seeing some changes to her weapons as well. The SMG damage is going from 43 up to 2 points to 45. Increase to the Super 90 damage on the shotgun is going from 32 to 35. They say that Frost is currently too weak and they wanted to make some changes to her guns. I'm not sure how much 2 or 3 points in either direction will wind up making with some of that stuff, but they felt it was something they wanted to try. They go on to say that they're probably going to need to do some more extensive work on her to make her a more viable choice as compared to other operators, but that's something that will come in the distant future, not right now. Another operator getting a change that we knew about from last week is Dokkaebi. Her Claymore will now be replaced with stun grenades. They say that she will keep smoke grenades, but having both smoke grenades and Claymore was having too much utility in the same operator. A very minor change is coming to barbed wire. The slowing effect is increased from 45% to 50%, so it's going to be 5% slower to move through barbed wire than it has been. But they are still keeping it at 2 melee hits to break. They say the reasoning behind this was they wanted to give a little bit more breathing room for sight defense and make barbed wire slightly more reliable. Then we kind of go on to some other things. So here we're going to talk about Alibi, and they say that she seems a bit too strong in ranked play, but for the first few weeks of Pro League, they see that she's a little bit underused. So right now they're kind of in a watch and see mentality to figure out what they want to do with her. She seems too strong in one situation, but not used enough in another. They really like how Maestro is working out in terms of ranked play, but they think he might be a little bit too strong in Pro League, so they're going to watch and wait on that one as well. Other operators that they're taking a look at as well are going to be Ashe, Twitch, Jaeger, and Bandit, and they acknowledge that there's nothing inherently broken with their terms of their power, but just their pick rates are kind of off the charts, and they want to figure out what to do about that and how to bring that into a little bit more balance. They've also noticed that the primary trappers on defense for Frost and Kapkan have kind of had an up and down win in pick rate. They're not really sure what to do about that, but they're aware that this is something that might need to be tweaked down the road. Lastly is Castle. They say they're looking at making more drastic changes to Castle, but they don't really know when that's going to happen. They have some ideas for what they want to do, but it's currently in the backlog with no time frame on when that will begin. So now let's head over to the developer AMA. 3 members of the development team that are primarily involved with operator balancing put themselves out there for the Reddit community to ask questions of. I'm not going to go over every single question that was asked and answered because some of them really were redundant or didn't cover information that was all that interesting or revealing, but I'll go over some of the highlights here. This question directly relates with what we were just talking about, and they want to know a little bit more about what was being planned with Castle. They say they'll try to elaborate, but they can't get anything too specific yet because they're only in the prototype stage. They say the Castle is a good operator in a specific context. If the team is organized and if the player using Castle knows exactly where to position the barricades, then he does well. But if those conditions aren't met, which is the vast majority of the time for Siege players, best case scenario, he's close to useless as his barricades get denied very easily, and worst case, he can actually become a hindrance for the team because he winds up blocking routes for players to get in and out of where they need to go. Those are the issues that they're trying to tackle. They acknowledge that he's good in Pro League, but they want him to be a fun operator to use for all the rest of the players as well. The next question kind of ties into the removal of the frag grenades for IQ and wondering if they can get back to Capito, as well as some concerns with Finca, and they say that overall their concern is giving frags to 3-speed operators is not really going to be their go-to fix for how to handle balancing issues. 3 speeds already have a lot of things going for them, and they wanted to be sure that they weren't going to make them too useful in all kinds of situations since they're already that fast. But they do agree that Capito needs some love, and they want to make sure that his gadget is more efficient in the future. Regarding Finca, they acknowledge that it could wind up not being the solution they're looking for by giving the frag grenades to her. They're going to kind of watch and see how it all plays out, and they're open to changing that down the road if it does turn out to be a disaster. Another player wants to know a little bit more about the design decision behind removing IQ's frag grenades, and again they talk about how she's evolved over time with more operators getting more gadgets, granting her more usefulness in her ability, but they agree that IQ needs more ways to act on the information that she gathers, and they have a rework plan for her that will lead them in that direction. Next, they're asked if there's any plans on completely reworking operators like Blackbeard and Lion, to which they reply no on Blackbeard, but Lion, not completely, but there are big changes planned for Lion. Here there's a few questions regarding the LMG for Maestro and Thatcher's EMP. The interesting part of this regards Thatcher. They say EMPs disabling things like Alibi's Prisma, Maestro's turrets, or bulletproof cameras are first steps towards bigger changes that we have in mind for Thatcher. In general, we are not satisfied with the interaction of the EMP and electronic gadgets when this interaction is a simple destruction. We believe that it is often too binary and doesn't leave enough room for counterplays. And the last question that wound up being a bit of a surprise for me, at least as a mute main, is somebody was asking if there was any thoughts behind maybe reworking the radius of his jammer and how that might interact with some of the global abilities. They respond that they are currently working on a mute buff, but what they're trying is quite different from the radius increase that the original question was mentioning. But they hope they can give us more details soon, so there's a mute buff coming that nobody was really expecting to see. So there you go, all the information regarding the newest upcoming operator nerfs and buffs, as well as operators that they are definitely taking a look at making changes to in the future. What do you think about these buffs and nerfs that are coming to the game? Do you think these are much needed, or are some of these just going in the wrong direction? Let me know down in the comments below, or share with me over at IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. If you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. Make sure you click that notification icon so you're alerted as soon as I make new content available. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.